covering the world of professional wrestling from coast to coast. Members of the Buzzing Up Nation bring to you another exciting edition of the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, Front Row, Toni Justice, and Kris from Baltimore.
Yo, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to Nation's Corner. I am Front Row, as always. Joining me, the greatest truck driver of all time, Toni Justice. Special guest host tonight, all the way from Baltimore, Busted Open Nation's biggest fan, Kris from Baltimore. What's up, people?
Hey!
What's going on?
How y'all doing?
Man, good. I'm good. Not as good as you guys. You guys had a hell of a weekend.
Yeah.
You guys were everywhere.
Still recuperating.
Everywhere.
Toni, your voice is still shot.
Yeah, that's all because of Stone Cold Steve Austin, baby.
I'm right.
I went nuts whenever he came out.
All right, so we'll get there in a second. I got a lot of questions to ask you guys. I wasn't there, so let me interview you.
Okay.
Right.
First, I got to set the stage. Kris is my cigar friend. So, Kris, what are we smoking later tonight?
I am going to have a 6-1 Maduro tonight.
Maduro.
Yes.
Nice. All right, I got a Bones, CAO Bones lined up for after the show.
All right.
Okay. Enough with the formalities. So you guys were in Texas last week with a bunch of our friends. Who else was with you?
We had Deb Housen, who is one of the hosts of the show. So before we get into that, let's just give big ups to Deb. She had surgery today, guys, and it went really successful. So just thumbs up, round of applause for Deb Housen. We love you, sis. But
Yes.
we had Deb, and we had Seth, Trenda, Chad, Money Mark, Garza, and am I missing anybody?
I think you got everybody.
Yep.
Then we met some Nation members at the party.
Yes. We met a lot of Nation members at the party.
Yeah, we met Mike from Connecticut finally. Shout out to Mike. And we met Orange Whip.
Orange Whip.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy too.
Yes.
Of course, Front Row. Remember our friend Chris from
Yes.
Lewis. He was there.
Mm-hmm.
Connecting people through wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah, he was
He
there.
does an amazing job. Yeah.
That dude is all over the country.
Yeah.
Like I rewatched Mania, and in the crowd, I don't see him, but you see his sign like the whole show.
Did you see Rey Mysterio took his sign and took a picture of it?
Yes,
that was awesome.
Yes, he's definitely over.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go in order here. So you guys got there Friday. You did the Access Superstore and all that stuff. But I'm interested in the SmackDown Hall of Fame experience. Like being in the room for Undertaker's Hall of Fame experience or induction. Like there we go.
I'm not sure too, because this guy right here inducted him. So
I love that shirt so much. I can't believe they put out that shirt. It's amazing.
I'm an asshole. You know that, right?
You said it. I'm not. People are saying that. That's what the internet says, but I don't really know. Well, we were watching it on TV. It was emotional. We got to see Mark Calloway.
Yes.
So, what was it like in the first few minutes when the crowd, like, you guys wouldn't let him speak?
So I'll go first, and then Toni, you can back me up.
Cool.
So after SmackDown ended, they had like a 20-minute, 15-20 minute break where they had to set the actual stage up. So when they were doing that, you saw all the superstars come out. You saw your Linda McMahon, your HBK, your Stephanie McMahon, your Triple H's, like the whole roster with Hall of Famers. They came out, and then it was like a countdown, and everybody got to their seat. And it was like when the lights dimmed and you heard Vince McMahon's music hit. And he came out. And it was just like goosebumps. Whenever I see him, I get goosebumps because he's like the GOAT, and when, he spoke and you could tell he was getting kind of emotional a little bit, because him and the Undertaker, they have a really good bond. Mm-hmm. And then when the Undertaker came out, it was like that gong. It was just like, oh shit. Like the hair on my arm. Me and Toni was like 8-year-old kids again.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was like once in a lifetime experience, and I'm glad I was there.
Yeah. And right before he started talking, he got in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
He acknowledged Vince. He hugged him,
Mm-hmm.
and they hugged for about 5 to 10 seconds. Vince kind of pushed himself away from him though and got out of the ring. And Undertaker was wearing like a mic, like a preacher or something would wear.
So you knew he was going to talk.
Yeah, and he tried to start talking, and every time the crowd just got louder and louder. I guarantee you, we were hollering for probably 5 minutes before he started talking.
But you could tell every time he tried to talk, it was so emotional for him.
Yeah.
It was like overwhelming. Because I don't think he thought that he was going to get that kind of reaction. That's just me personally. Because every time he tried to talk, it was just like he was biting his bottom lip and just like, okay, I'm going to try this again. He was getting so emotional.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think that was one of the things that struck us at home, because I've seen interviews with Undertaker since he's retired, since his final match. Okay. So we've gotten a little bit of the Mark Calloway, but I felt like he really wanted to pull back the curtain and connect with you guys in the room and the people at home. Mm-hmm. It almost felt like it was a Tony Robbins-esque like energy to him. Like he had this like almost like you said, like a preacher, but he was connecting with people at a very real level. And I don't think I've ever seen him. He didn't stutter or like the entire speech was just completely like,
it was so smooth.
It's smooth. So yeah.
Smooth. So smooth.
Unlike me.
Now see, pulling back the curtain a little bit, where we were sitting in like section, what was it, 101, Kris?
Yeah, we was like dead center, like right above the floor.
Amazing view.
Right in the middle.
And to the left, of us, we were to the side of the Undertaker, because they had the open ring and then the three sides of the ropes. Mm-hmm. And over here to the left of us was the monitor where the words were going. They were scrolling. And so I kind of kept watching the ring, but then I kept looking over to the left to see, for some reason, I was watching the words. And Undertaker hardly looked at that monitor at all. He memorized that.
He was freestyling the whole speech because they had part of it covered up. But dude, he was freestyling the whole speech. He never looked up at the screen. Never.
Nope. Wait, you're telling me one of the greatest of all times doesn't need bullet points or a script? That's amazing.
It was like he was kicking out 30 bars, like he was in a rap battle. I mean, he was just free flowing. Yeah. He didn't need no bullet points. He didn't need no flashcards or nothing. No.
So towards the end of that speech, like, one of the things I thought was interesting, of course, he goes back up, puts on the duster and the cap, and he says, never say never. And it's a cool moment. But he went over and to kiss his family, and he held the hat so the camera couldn't see that the character of Undertaker was kissing someone. It was his daughter and his family, but he did it in such a way he's hyper aware of where the camera was. And I thought it was an interesting, really cool moment that was just for them and the couple of people sitting around them.
Yep. I caught that. I didn't catch it live, but when I came home and I watched it back, that's when I caught that. Because I was in a moment then. I was just like, I wasn't even really paying attention to that part. I was just in the moment of everything that was going on around me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt. So that was an incredible experience. And then that was only the start of your weekend.
Yeah.
You guys did a bunch of stuff on Saturday. You went to the Busted Open Party.
Well, that was the tail end of our day, because earlier the best thing happened. We went to the location of the Sportatorium.
Yeah. Yeah. I took Kris and Chad. See, Deb and Seth were still in the air at this point. And we had 2 hours to kill before we had to go back to the airport and pick them up. So we picked up Chad, and then we went. Can't even remember where we went first. Oh, we went to Gillies and took a picture in front of Gillies. That's where MLW was. Yeah. And they were setting up MLW, and we just happened to park over there and walk over there to the sign, took a picture in front of the sign. And then I told Kris, I was like, I got another place I want to take y'all, and I didn't tell her where. So we get in the truck, and we're driving, and I've got it pulled up on my GPS, and the GPS, it says it's still there, So we went. And of course, the Sportatorium is located in kind of the, not so nice portion of Dallas. And so we go down the street, and then Kris goes, "Where are you taking me, Beat Boot?" I'm like, just trust me. So we did the crosswalk or crossover, come back. We pulled up into this grass lot and parked the truck, got out. Or actually, before we got out, I turned the truck off, and I looked over at Kris. I said, "You know where we are?" She's looking, and she's like, a lot that needs to be mowed." And I said, "The Sportatorium. This is where the Sportatorium used to be." And you should have seen her face. As soon as I said
got
it,
emotional.
Instantly got emotional. And we got out, and we were just, this is the first time that I've been there too. And I'm from Texas. And this is the first time that I've been there. So we all three took in the moment, looking around and envisioning where, if, how it looked when it was there. And we took some pictures of us standing on the lot and did some goofing around, Chad, of course, when he's with us, we're always goofing around at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But we did that. And then Saturday, the Busted Open party. So yeah, we're going to that.
So you guys went over. So this was hosted by the Busted Open, by actually Busted Open, because I think a bunch of us have been to the Nation Across the Nation events with Dave and Mark and a few others, but those haven't been official Busted Open parties as part of big pay-per-views. So like David said on the radio, this is the first time in 3 years that the Nation has gotten together in an official capacity with the entire show. And there was, I think Bully said there was almost 1,200 people there.
It was a lot because it was the upstairs area too. So
right.
You couldn't see that on camera, but it was packed upstairs.
So listening at home, we got to hear it live. Mm-hmm. But when you guys were there, I guess the first part of the show was like radio show stuff. And then the second part was the roast.
Yes.
So what were some of your highlights from that moment or from that show?
Well, just before it even started, we got there super duper early. So we were camped out in front. So when Mother Marissa and Gabby, they were like the first ones there. They were so excited to see us. And Mother Marissa was like, "I got a spot just for y'all to sit. Just go right to the front and take that very front row. That's your spot." So as soon as they opened up the gate, that's where we went at. I mean, we were like dead center.
We were living your gimmick, front row.
We were front row, definitely.
Nice.
It was overwhelming, but a good overwhelming. It was people were just coming up to you, Kris, Toni. It was just people that I talked to on Twitter all the time, but we never met face to face. So finally, to put an actual face with the name in person was amazing.
Yeah, and I had bought Terramana for Bully, and I had bought some Casamigos for Gabby. That's her favorite tequila, and of course, I gave it to her as a gift from all of us. And when we first sat down, when they first opened the gates, we went straight to that section, sat down, and I had the two gift bags. And Bully was sitting up. He was taking selfies in front of the backdrop they had up there.
Yeah.
And so he was just kind of chilling out up there. And so when I sat everything down, I go to walk over towards Bully, and Mother Marissa stopped me. She goes, "Oh, we can't let y'all go over there." And Bully was like, No, come on over here, Toni. And so I went past her and gave him the tequila. He looks at it, and he just pulls it out of the bag, and he says, "Thanks, brother." And then my bag got reused for Tommy whenever he put his items in it. When he came up to roast, he brought the bag up with him. And that's the bag I brought. So that was cool. And then Gabby, of course, I gave her tequila. She was walking around with us outside, so I gave it to her. But I mean, just getting to see everybody. We saw Izzy and her parents. Got to meet her mom. I'd already met Cody at Minneapolis for that Nation Across the Nation event that I went to. But I finally got to meet her mother, and they're awesome people. And just seeing all the different Nation members, like Kris said, Mike from Connecticut, we saw him, and just different people that shouted out to us and waved at us, and then towards right before the roast, there was an open area between us and the stage, and we were front row for the first part of the Busted Open party, but right before the roast, they wanted to fill that area in, so they brought people from the back of the crowd and told them to come up to the area and make like a mosh area, kind of like a mosh area. And then it made it look just awesome when they did that. Mm-hmm. And then they started the roast. And, you know, the highlight for me in that first hour was Dave eating a slice of pineapple pizza.
Yeah.
From Lance Archer.
Yeah, Lance Archer brought the pineapple pizza, and Dave, he started to throw it, but he was like, no, can't do that. Lance bought this, you know. So he took a bite, and he started like nodding his head in approval. He took another bite, and he was like, you know, it's actually pretty good.
He was like,
oh my God. So
like, I got what's his name? Mark Henry. Damn, I just had a brain freeze real quick. Mark Henry, I had got him some cigars from All of Us. So they were upstairs eating, and this is right before they went live, and so it was roped off. Security was like, "Miss, you can't go back there." Mark Henry was like, "Let her through." And I went right on through, gave him the cigars, and he hugged me. I know, probably 15, 20 seconds. It was like the tightest hug that, I mean, it was almost like a teddy bear hug. And he was so appreciative of the cigars I got him from All of Us. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And then we had to fight through the crowd because after the roast was over with, Deb had gotten Tommy some Oreos. Yep. And so I was like, Deb, are you going to give your Oreos to Tommy? And she was like, well, I can't get through that. I said, come here. So I took her. She was behind me, and I fought our way through the crowd to get to the front. And Tommy was kind of standing on the edge of the stage, kind of signing stuff for fans and all that. Mm-hmm. I hollered at Tommy, and Tommy looked, and I pointed at Deb, and Deb was holding up the Oreos. And you should have saw the smile on his face when he got those Oreos.
He was so happy.
Yeah,
in the candy store.
Yeah, and Deb had also gotten Mark something from Wawa. I don't know what it was. Some sort of
a brownie.
Brownie, yeah, that's what it was. But
his favorite brownie.
We were hollering, and my voice was already starting to get shot then. And I was hollering at Mark, and it was so loud in there. Mark couldn't hear me, but Gabby did. And Gabby turned around. I said, get Mark for me. And she turned around and tapped Mark and said, Tony wants you. And he turned around. I pointed at Deb, and Deb's holding that brownie, and his face lit up. And he come over there and got that brownie. And he said something to Deb, made her pop, something about no one can have too much sexual chocolate or something like that. But it was hilarious, man. Just that party was amazing,
and the drinks were good too. By the way,
the
drinks were good.
Better than the margaritas at the taco festival.
Well, I was only drinking margaritas. I might have had like 4.
Yeah, but those were watered down.
No, these were strong.
Oh, that's awesome.
Side note: Money Mark's son, Loose Change, he got to have an experience with Mark. Mm-hmm. He got to thank Mark Henry in person because remember when we were at Jimmy's?
Yep.
Well, he got to thank Mark in person for doing that, and so Mark took his phone and took a selfie while he was on stage, and Mark's in the selfie, and Loose Change is down here in a sea of people, mm-hmm. and Mark took a selfie with Loose Change on his phone.
Yeah, so I saw that Mark posted on social.
Yes.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
That's cool.
Awesome. Yep.
So the whole party ended with the roast. Obviously, we're not going to go through the whole roast, but Violetta, we all agree Violetta was the star of the roast.
She was the star.
She dropped a couple of bombs so go on the SiriusXM app because the video is up there. Go! It's worth your time and effort. It's incredible.
Even with her voice, she was able to deliver.
Yeah. So then fast forward to later on that night, obviously right after that, our friends at Mission Pro ran a show, mm-hmm. Bangers Only, which was an incredible show. We were watching at home on Zoom and doing a watch along, and we're going to cover that in a minute. But then go into night 1 of WrestleMania. There were some big moments here. And to me, night 1 was the better of the 2 nights, just from a watching at home perspective. We had obviously the Stone Cold and KO stuff. We had Cody. We had Bianca and Becky have an absolute clinic of a match.
Oh my God, yes.
So for you guys, what were like 1 or 2 of the really big moments in the arena? Like, let me start with how were the fan reactions to Bianca and Becky?
It was little girls there that were Team Becky and Team Bianca. And when their reaction to when Bianca won, it made me think of my daughter. I mean, she is definitely loved by the kids. I mean, to me, that was my favorite match. Me personally, that match was just top notch. Both of those women put in 100% that night.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's probably top 3 matches of the weekend. We'll get to the number 1 match in a minute, but that for me, that was one of the top 3 matches of the whole weekend.
Yeah, and let me just add about that match. Becky looked amazing.
Oh my God, her haircut,
her hair, her makeup, everything, her ring gear, everything looked amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, she looked badass, and the whole entrance. It was interesting in the entrance because they did the whole graphic for her entrance, which was really neat, which was almost similar to the way that they have Raw, the WWE entrance, where they have the letters and you're traveling through the letters and they pull back. It's very similar to that. So it's almost like she's representing the company. Right. You know, she was like the people's champ sort of thing. But it was a really cool match. But then if you fast forward to Charlotte and Ronda, I thought was a completely different match. It was a fight. It was
brutal.
It was brutal. It was not a technical masterpiece. It was just 2 women who appear to really friggin' hate each other.
Like they were pissed off at each other. Like when I see you, it's on immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw some criticisms of that match, but and maybe it was harder because when you're in the venue that large, maybe it's harder to see some of the smaller stuff that's going on in the ring. But if you go back and watch it on TV, it is snug. Like it is really snug. There's some and it's some stiff spots in there. But of course, you get to what most people were excited about, which was KO and Steve Austin. And and so I need to get your thoughts on this because we all thought, okay, he's best case scenario, Steve Austin's going to play the greatest hits, kick to the gut, stunner, Thez press, whatever. He's going to do a few things, and then that's going to have to end the show. But he wrestled a match, like suplexes on like all that stuff.
Baby, when the glass broke, and we saw him with both of his knee braces on. At that moment, I was like, shit, get real.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be, I'm going to hit the greatest hits and I'm out. At that moment, I knew that he was going to have a match.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even describe that. To hear that break and everybody was up their seats. Yeah. Even when KO was talking, because you didn't know when it was going to happen. We knew he was coming. You just didn't know when they were going to break the glass. And KO just kept talking and talking and talking. And finally, it was just like, he said something like, I don't care if he come out here or something. And it was like, boom. And the place erupted immediately.
He said he was gonna drop him with a stunner and pour beer on his stupid bald head. When he said that, and the place, you know, they ain't lying when they say that when, you know, a Stone Cold pop, you could just feel the roof come off of the place. And being there, and I've seen Stone Cold, you know, before. I've been to 2 other WrestleManias with Stone Cold performed, but 19 years later, getting to be at his, you know, what, you know, probably is his last match with KO, to be there for that too, and to experience that pop, especially with you and Deb and Seth, getting to experience that with y'all and Money Mark and everybody that was there. You know, it was amazing. And he came to the ring, you know, he tried to do his 4-corner post stuff, and then KO stopped him in the middle of it and told him to sit down. And you just, you know, when they announced that he was challenging him to a fight, and I remember looking at Kris going, there's going to be a match. And then whenever the referee come trotting down there, we were like, oh, hell yeah.
Yes.
And then when that bell rang, it was real. It was real. Like,
yep.
It was real. And I can't believe they went out into the crowd and did all the spots out in the crowd.
Yes.
With the bumps.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. But it was amazing.
That suplex that Steve took on the concrete over by on the floor area.
Yeah.
I was really genuinely surprised that he did some of the stuff that he did. I felt like I felt like he said, "Screw it! Like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna give you
I'm gonna go out with
90. I'm gonna give you Steve Austin from '99 to the best of my ability." And KO did his very best to help him do that.
KO sold like a pro.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Steve Austin was over, but KO got over even higher. You know, like I saw Austin live in '98 during the like the height of the Attitude Era. To me, the pops are the same. I mean, I can't even describe it. People completely lost their shit then, and then now, 20 years later, they doing the same thing. It's like the pop doesn't get any better than that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, except in '99 they didn't have 77,000 people in the room.
True.
Like that's the volume and must have been incredible.
Yeah, I didn't see him at WrestleMania. I saw him at a Raw. So,
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But they were, I mean, back then it was like, it was like every week. But to see, this was 19 years of anticipation and a guy who said that I'm done, I'm happy, I'm never coming back. And then to see KO, like all the rumors about KO, he's leaving the company, he's not happy there. Well, he's re-signed a deal. Well, why did KO re-sign a deal? He just made event at WrestleMania with Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's why he re-signed a deal.
Yeah.
Whatever he does for the next however long is just icing on the cake at this point, I would have to think.
Right.
Let me tell you this. On our way to our seats, my daughter texted me. And I said, Ziggy, I said, don't forget, Stone Cold's going to be on Peacock tonight. So make sure you watch it. She texts me back, Ma, tell Austin I said hello. Mama, she thinking that I'm actually going to be sitting next to Austin or something. She lost her shit too. Like, she was so excited to see him actually wrestling live in 2022. She was excited. Awesome. Yeah,
I had mixed emotions about it because his match with The Rock was the absolute perfect end to a career, and all the stories he's told in the years since then like made me feel like, don't disturb that, don't mess that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you're gonna do it, they did it right.
But see, back then with The Rock though, that was like an unofficial end of his career because he didn't publicly announce that was the end of his career. Right. And I think in his mind, to close that chapter of Austin, I think he needed to have an official last match.
Okay, so we talk on this show a lot about the importance of veterans working with young talent.
Mm-hmm.
KO is not a young talent. He's been around 20 years, but compared to Steve Austin, he's a junior guy, right?
Yes, absolutely.
How do you get someone like KO over even more? Well, you work with Steve Austin in the main event of WrestleMania. Steve Austin did what he did for KO and what he did for Austin Theory and for Pat McAfee this weekend should not be unnoticed.
No.
Because those three people benefited tremendously from being in the ring with him. And he sold. Like, he did stuff with KO. Like, he sold for KO.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He didn't just go in there and beat up KO and leave. Like, I was really impressed with what they did. I also feel like, and they were talking about on the show, like, when you have someone like Bad Bunny come in, the expectations are now super high for celebrity matches. So when a veteran comes back, when Edge came back, Edge is wrestling at the top of his game.
Mm-hmm.
So if Steve Austin's going to come back, well, he can't just come back and have a run-of-the-mill match. He's going to come back. The fans are going to expect him to have a Stone Cold match. So I was really excited for him for that. And then, of course, we go to night 2 where Pat McAfee has his match with Austin Theory. I think Pat McAfee is a friggin' star.
Yes.
I think if
he got the rub from Vince and Austin.
Yeah.
You saw Pat's entrance with Seven Nation Army.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd treated him like
with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Don't forget that. With the
I didn't notice that. I didn't.
Hey, look, Front Row, I was there and I didn't notice it either.
Well, you know what?
I'm a Patriots fan, so I don't tell you.
Ravens.
I don't. But that's the thing. Like, Austin Theory has, for months, he's been on TV every week with Vince McMahon, which is huge. And then, of course, Pat McAfee's been nothing but a home run in everything he's done with the WWE. So, like, to be in the ring with a guy like Austin Theory, who's young and athletic and at the top of his game, man, Pat did that box jump to the corner twice, and they did that suplex, and he did some stuff that I'm like, man, this guy looks like he's been wrestling for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to put this into perspective. Vince just don't get in a ring or get into a storyline or get into his character for anybody. Right. He didn't do it for Becky or Charlotte. I mean, so for him to select Austin Theory, that just goes to show you that he believed in the kid. Yeah. And it was like a whole storyline, like the big up to Mania, So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And getting to see all of that live with Pat McAfee, getting to see how over he is.
Oh my God!
Going back to SmackDown, when he gets up on the commentating table when Shinsuke comes out, and Austin Theory came up behind him and knocked him down, and when Pat took off running after him, the crowd just erupted. Yeah. And at WrestleMania, when he comes out, the crowd just erupted. I mean, Pat McAfee is over. I mean, he is. I mean, for him to be just relegated to a commentator, I think we're going to be seeing more from Pat McAfee in the future.
Right, definitely.
Yes.
I want to see it. Like, I'm buying a ticket.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, he is definitely an attraction, and he's over with the crowd.
And he's cute. And I mean,
To see, after the match with Pat McAfee and Austin Theory, and then Vince gets in the ring, the pop that Vince got when Vince
took that shirt off, I was like, what in the world?
Yeah, he's like 76 years old. I know. Yeah.
Like, this man almost 80 years old and taking bumps.
Yeah.
And he's jacked.
Yep.
Yes, he looks good for his age.
Yeah.
Vince took that shirt off, baby. Everybody was like, oh shit. We get ready to have a match.
But yeah. That whole match and the storyline I went with it was amazing.
Yeah, it was good. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy for everybody involved because I can imagine that the pressure for performing in a WrestleMania match in front of 80,000 people with Vince McMahon probably is through the roof. But Pat said, he's like, look, I've been in the Super Bowl. I've been in the Pro Bowl. Like, I've been in front of 100,000 people. This is still a really big deal. This is the biggest thing I've ever done. Right. So I thought it was great. I thought everything about that was great. And then we go on to, obviously, towards the end of the show, the main event of that show, Brock and Roman. And it was interesting because the match ended early from what we could tell. I couldn't quite tell if somebody legitimately got hurt or not, but it was like 12 minutes before the hour, maybe 10 minutes before the hour. So it ended kind of abruptly. I don't know if you guys felt that in the arena.
Thought that it ended because at the time we didn't know that Roman actually got hurt. I didn't find that out until like hours later.
I still don't know if he got hurt. I don't know if it's a work or not.
Well, right. So we were like, okay, The Rock's coming. Like, something has to happen because everybody was like, wait a minute, is this ending too early?
Yeah.
And then when we saw Roman walking up the ramp, we was like, oh man, it's time to go. It's over.
Yeah. I waited all the way up until, because AT&T Stadium has that big screen over the field, and that's where we were watching most of the pay-per-view. We would glance down to the ring and watch it up on the monitor. We watched for that copyright logo to appear at the end of the pay-per-view on the corner before I knew it was over. I was like, yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, me and Chris both said something's got to happen because it ended too early, and we were thinking The Rock was going to show up.
Yeah.
Well, all in all, a pretty amazing WrestleMania. I think people were critical of some of the storylines going into it, and WWE has a way of when the storylines are poor, they deliver an incredible pay-per-view. I don't know what it is, but just sitting at home, it was amazing. I can't imagine being in the arena.
Real quick, Cody.
Yeah, so that was the last thing I wanted to touch on because this leads into another conversation. We knew he was coming. Everybody knew he was coming. It was a terribly kept secret. But it doesn't matter because when the music hit, and we talked about it on the show here for the last few weeks, I had said, and I think we had talked about, if Cody comes to WWE, he has to be the American Nightmare. Music, everything. And they gave it to us, and it was so cool.
Yeah, it was almost like...
I was like, Tony, because I didn't know who it was going to be because in my mind, even though the dirt sheets said it, I still didn't believe it. I didn't believe it till I saw it. So when it got black and they flashed his picture, Tony squeezed my arm. I mean, he jumped off the seat. I thought he was going to jump out of shoes. I was like, oh shit.
What I'm so impressed with is the fact that not only did we get the American Nightmare, but the ring, the entrance music, the way they announced him to the ring announcer sounded almost just like Justin Roberts. It was almost like
that's Mike Rome.
It was AEW. We were watching it for a split second. It was his AEW entrance. It was amazing.
Yeah, and I think if they had done anything else, they would have lost a lot of the impact of his.
Yeah.
But everybody knew who it was as soon as the music hit. Right? I mean, it sounded like the reaction
and everything. Yep.
And I don't know Cody. I've only met him a few times. I've had limited conversations with him, but from the people that I know that know him, that he's a genuine guy. Like, he helps out people a lot. He's big into the community work that they did in AEW. And he said in the post-media scrum, that was one of the things that he wanted to continue to do in WWE. So, like, I'm very happy for him because I think that he had completed everything he could do in AEW. I think he was kind of done there. And now to have him back in WWE, he talked about that on Raw. And that's what I wanted to talk about next. Was they kicked off Raw with his promo where he talked about winning that title for his father and coming back and winning that title. So I think I'm a little concerned about where his placement is right now, just from the perspective of, like, Roman's the top of the food chain and it's not even close. Right. So I will be interested to see the story that they tell. How do they get Cody from excited newcomer to top talent that's a legitimate contender for Roman Reigns' title?
I think he needs to work his way up the chain. Like, I think they need to feed him people.
Old school.
Huh?
Old school.
Yeah. I think they need to feed him, people so he can prove himself. Is he even worthy to be in the ring with Roman? Even though he just came back and he's Cody Rhodes, he still got to prove himself.
Yeah.
So does he hold the Intercontinental Championship first? He's held it before, but in this run,
he's held it as, what was his name?
Stardust.
Yeah, that don't count. He needs to hold it as the American Nightmare. Yes.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
I agree.
You agree? Okay. Good.
Yep. So all in all, it was like 4 incredible days for WWE: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But I want to just switch gears a little bit. There is so much other stuff that happened that weekend. GCW had 12 shows on the collective. Everything from Bloodsport on Thursday afternoon, which was awesome. If you missed Bloodsport, go back and watch it. Masha Slamovich and Marina Shafir and obviously Josh and Jonah, and just there were so many good matches on that show. And what I liked about it is that they allowed you to buy the shows individually. So they're only like $10-12, something like that. They weren't expensive. They weren't, pricey at all. So like they had Effie's Big Gay Brunch on Saturday morning, and there was Joey Janela's Spring Break on Thursday and Friday. Every one of those shows was packed with like really high level talent. And I didn't see all the shows, but I think in our whole group, everybody saw them at some point. But of course, for us, like, we're Mission Pro people, and I was very excited for them to be part of the collective this year. And the show was called Bangers Only, and my God, was it? Like, they over-delivered. The matches on that show were unbelievable. Everything from like Janai Kai and Shazza McKenzie, who's fresh off of her 2-year quarantine in Australia. Allie Katch and JP Harlow. JP was, friend of the show, JP. He had this great match with Allie Katch, and they beat the shit out of each other. But I think for me, of course, Thunder Rosa and Trish Adora had a great match too. But the no DQ match with Holiday and Lufisto, if you get a chance, go back and watch just that match. It is very GCW, and not like Light Tube's GCW. It's very physical with chairs and doors, and like the stuff that they do in that match is very, very violent and physical. And I was very happy that nobody got hurt in that match. or nobody get injured, I should say, because I'm sure there were some sore people.
Right.
But yeah, so they had an absolutely killer match, and of course, Ring of Honor had their Super Card of Honor with the match that everybody's talking about, and that's FTR versus the Briscoes, and that to me that was the best match of the whole weekend. Did you guys get a chance to see that tag match?
I have not seen it yet. I plan on it.
I know there's a million things to catch up on, I'm sure.
Tomorrow is going to be my day where I catch up on everything that I haven't watched from that weekend. Yep.
Yeah, there's a ton. I was trying to catch up with some of it this afternoon, but I ended up rewatching Bianca and Becky instead. So
5 stars.
Yeah. It was excellent. And I think that's of my 3 favorite matches this weekend: Bianca, Becky, Holiday and Lufisto, and the number 1 match is the tag match for the Ring of Honor tag titles. There is so much crazy stuff going on right now. Like, they advertised just out of nowhere this week on Dynamite, we're gonna get Samoa Joe versus Minoru Suzuki. Like, that's just a thing. And our very own Sean's gonna be there. Sean in New Orleans, he's gonna be there.
It's like Sean.
But that's just a thing that we get on a random Wednesday now.
Yeah, that's awesome. We expect full ringside report from Sean.
Yeah,
Sean, you gotta take some pictures too. I see you in the chat, so you need to take some pictures, boo.
Yeah, Sean.
Yes, take some pictures.
Oh, but man. So last night we watch Rampage together every week.
Yes.
And I knew it was going to be good just based on the matches that they had advertised. And of course, Trent and Bryan Danielson, awesome. Like, everything Bryan Danielson's doing in AEW, I'm a huge fan of.
I am loving him and John Moxley together. Oh my God.
What do you guys think about? And so, like, we've heard William Regal do some interviews about the Blackpool Combat Club. What do you guys think about the concept of those 3 guys working together?
Take my money. Just take it. I'm going to AEW in a few weeks in Baltimore. So I am hoping that they are there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I Mark Henry talked about today on the show. He kind of compared it to, it's going to be bigger than the NWO.
Yes.
And I can see, they've got the right ingredients for something big to happen. William Regal, I love him in AEW now. I love the fact that he's there, because not only is he with the Blackpool Combat Club, but also behind the scenes doing what he did with AEW to, like, what he did with NXT in AEW, molding all that talent. It's going to be amazing to see. But I mean, just the having Mox and Bryan Danielson together, and the physical style that their matches have been since they've started the Blackpool Combat Club, and it makes every match a must-watch match. And I'm sure we're fixing to get into the awesome match that was last night.
So the match between Danielson and Trent, great match, awesome. The aftermath was great. And then they had a qualifier. I think they're having the tournament. And we saw Red Velvet and Willow Nightingale. And I have to give a huge shout out to Willow Nightingale, because she was a big part of Queens of Combat here in Charlotte. She was tag champions with Faye Jackson. And if you guys know Faye from Twitter, she's as non-PG as it gets. I love Faye. I think she's amazing. But Willow has really worked. You follow her, right?
Yeah, she has no filter.
No filter.
I thought I didn't have a filter, but she got me beat.
Oh no, you're like G-rated compared to Faye's Twitter.
Yes.
But Willow was a big part of this like 4 or 5 years ago, and over the last year, since the pandemic has sort of lifted, she's made quite a name for herself, performing everywhere, including Mission Pro and GCW and a lot of independents. And she's done some dark matches and stuff. So to see her on Rampage in this match, I think she should have won. I think that she should have gotten the opportunity to move forward in this tournament. But the match that we need to talk about, of course, is Mox and Wheeler Yuta.
Yes.
It was.
Whew.
I mean, so we saw Wheeler Yuta here in October. He was here at PWX at the same show where Minoru Suzuki wrestled. And Savage Gentleman was here on that show as well. Friend of the show. Shout out to Savage Gentleman. So let me ask the obvious question. Do you think there was too much blood in this match?
No.
Not in this match, but with AEW, it seems like every week there's blood. I don't want them to do like an overkill, you know, like every week, tone it down just a little bit. Like, I don't know. It just seems like every week there's blood. You know, it doesn't have to be every match doesn't need blood to me, you know, especially when you got kids watching.
Well, I think the blood is what helped get Yuta over as much as he got over yesterday. Yes, it was an amazing match, but the amount of blood that was spilled in that ring yesterday by Wheeler Yuta, I mean, I can't believe he was still just doing high octane moves with the amount of blood loss that he had. Yeah. I mean, there was a picture on Twitter that I saw from Kimber Last Kick, took a picture, and there's like 2 streams of blood coming out of Wheeler's head, and it was caught amazing in that picture. I mean, I could not believe it. And he had a WrestleMania moment, the Stone Cold moment.
Yes, yep. I was giving you the words out of my mouth. Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, I think this match got Wheeler Yuta over to the moon. He was getting over already, but this match here just put him. I mean, he's in the stratosphere now.
Yeah, he is. It was somebody on Twitter did a side-by-side actual clip of Bret Hart and Stone Cold and a match we saw last night. And for like a good 20, 30 seconds, they were doing the exact same movements at the exact same time. And it just took me back. I mean, the dude is over.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I saw that too, because it is move for move.
Move for move.
The Austin Bret Hart match where the Crimson Mask and how did that match end?
He passed out.
He passed out.
He passed out. Yeah.
How did the match end last night?
He passed out.
So
different submission, but
they go back and they study the classics because history repeats itself.
Yeah.
Go back and they study the good matches.
It is an example, and like you said, and they always say on the show, like one person went over, one person got over. But Wheeler Yuta has steadily been growing and building a name for himself in the independents and in AEW to the point now where like I felt like that was a career-defining match where he's now a main event guy.
Because that's the match that got Austin to the next level.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. So it's like, once again, history repeats itself.
And of course, the stuff that happened after the match with the handshake with William Regal. And then if you saw on Twitter when they went off the air, Bryan Danielson came out with the ROH Pure title, which is Wheeler Yuta's the champion. And he put it on him and raised his hand and did the whole thing. I'm like, man, I was happy for the guy because like it's a huge deal. Like here's Bryan Danielson, a cornerstone of the history of Ring of Honor, putting that title on you in an AEW ring. Like the symbolism there was intense.
All the dots connected.
Yeah.
Right.
And Regal and Bryan Danielson walked to the ring after the match was over. And when Regal got into that ring and that look he gave Wheeler, like he was fixing to stomp a mud hole in him. And Bryan and Mox both with a look gave Regal a look. Like, no, they didn't have to say anything. It was like they talked about on the show today. It was all in the facials.
Yes.
They told the story without not saying a word. And Regal looked at Bryan, Danielson looked at Mox, and then he was like, nodded his head, and then he stuck his hand out.
That's storytelling, but you ain't got to say nothing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And when Wheeler was writing BCC on his chest with the blood, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He's up there to test, like I said. Well, you don't have to say now one word. Body language and facial expression will tell a story.
Yep. And so we'll see how that story progresses next week. Next week, I said we just mentioned we're going to get Suzuki and Samoa Joe. And then the Battle of the Belts is next weekend, where Thunder Rosa is defending her AEW Women's World Championship against Nyla Rose. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. Like, anything can happen, but for me, I feel like they're building other people to be contenders for that championship. So I personally would like to see, your Serena Deeb, your Hikaru Shida, your
Kris Statlander.
Yeah, because Kris Statlander has a new look and feel, and she's now a bad guy. So there's lots of opportunities out there, and now we have Toni Storm in the company.
Yes.
So there's like 4 or 5 top talents who can really go at Thunder's level. So I'm going to be excited to see what happens. And speaking of Thunder, next weekend also is the Mission Pro Wrestling's charity event on the 16th for the Salvation Army in San Antonio. It's a great card. They've got obviously the Renegade Twins, JP Harlow's on the card, Ruby Reyes, Kenzie Page, Maddie versus La Rosa Negra, and they just changed the main event actually due to a cancellation, and now we're going to get a fatal 4-way with Holodead, Brittany Blake, Zoe Sky, and Jasmine Allure. I'm not sure if that's a title match or not. The graphic doesn't say whether it is or not, but that's going to be a fun show, and I believe it's going to be either broadcast on Title Match Network live or it'll be up after the event, but either way you'll be able to see it. So that's going to be a fun event. If you're in the San Antonio area, I recommend getting tickets, and if not, make sure you catch it next Saturday night. Anything else that you guys want to cover from the weekend? Anything that jumps out at you? Make sure you catch it next Saturday night.
Oh, sorry.
I want to touch on what we did Sunday. Before night 2, before we went to Texas Live for our tailgating extravaganza, we were supposed to tailgate in the parking lot.
Oh yeah.
We just wound up scrapping that because of some problems that happened down there in Texas with some Airbnbs and all that. So we just decided, you know what, we'll do our tailgating at Texas Live. We had such a great time Saturday. We're gonna go back Sunday and do it all over again. And that Texas Live, by the way, it's in an awesome area right there across from AT&T Stadium, and it's by the Rangers' new stadium. It's just in between. It's between the old ballpark and the new ballpark. It's just right there, and it has all kinds of activities, live music, barbecue, pizza, you name it. And so before we went to do that, we found out that our hotel was not too far away from where the Von Erichs were buried at the cemetery.
Oh, yes.
And so we decided, Chris found a video on YouTube that basically it was like
step.
It was like Legend of Zelda. Like we were looking at a map of Zelda and trying to find the secret compartments and stuff.
Yes.
He took us turn by turn into the cemetery.
Right to where we
right to it. I mean, the tree's right here, and there was a tree, and we got out, we counted 7 plots or whatever, and we got to see all of the Von Erichs that were buried there at the cemetery and got to pay our respects. And there were other fans there too that day that were doing the same thing we were doing.
Yeah.
But it was just, me living in Texas, born and raised, and I've seen Kevin Von Erich and Chris Von Erich live, and those are the only 2 Von Erichs that I've seen live. Carrie died in 94, so I didn't really get to see Carrie live, but I'd never gotten to go to the cemetery and see their graves until last weekend, and getting to share that moment with Chris and Deb and Seth. I mean, that was just it's the way it was meant to be.
It was 12 miles from where our hotel was. I was like, Tony, we gotta make this happen, dude. Like, this is my bucket list. We gotta make this happen.
Yeah.
So that was probably honestly, going to the sportatorium and going to the cemetery was, to me, that was the best of the weekend for me, because I never got to see the Von Erichs live. So to go where they started to unfortunately where it ended, that was surreal for me.
Yeah. To have that Easter egg when Stone Cold came out and said his first match was in Dallas, which
we knew where it was.
We were waiting for him to say the sportatorium, but he never said it. But that's where it happened, was the sportatorium.
Yes. That's where he started.
It just tied everything up for us, It was in a nice little red bow. It was awesome.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys had such a cool weekend.
Yes.
And everybody made it home safe and sound, which is good. You know, poor Money Mark. Shout out to Money Mark, who had some travel issues on the first day.
Oh my God, he was in the hotel for like 24 hours. It seemed like.
Oh man, I kept getting texts from him going, "Yep, our flight's delayed again."
Yeah.
Well, I did smoke some good cigars, Front Row. You would have been proud, you know.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah. So we've got some big events coming up. We're going to be in Mission Pro in May. You guys are all going to be in Baltimore for Celeb Fest the same weekend. So we've got groups of people. Other groups of the nation are out doing things. It seems like there's someone at a live show every weekend. So if you're watching this and if you are going to shows, just make sure you tag the Nation's Corner or at Nation's Corner on Twitter, or Kris or Toni.
Or May the 4th in Baltimore.
Well, post pictures.
We'll be at the ringside on the floor. You'll see me.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Cool.
Just make sure you have those cheetah glasses on.
Oh yes, baby, I will, because I might have to see Moxley, you know. So, you know. Sorry, Renee. I'm sorry, but he's cute.
Nice. On that note, well, I want to thank everybody for jumping on and joining us tonight. As always,
so fun. I see
Kris,
everybody in the chat.
Thank you for joining. We have to have you back on again.
Oh, absolutely.
Always bringing the energy.
I have to.
All right, where can people find you on the socials, Toni?
You can find me at Toni Justice AJFA, and if you're a Metallica fan, you know what that means.
Kris?
Well, you can find me, your favorite Baltimore cop, on Twitter, Kris from Baltimore, or you can follow us at Busted Open Cigar Club if you smoke cigars.
Very nice.
I don't, but I'll still support you.
Well, you can find me at PW Front Row across all the socials. Of course, as I mentioned on Twitter, we are at Nation's Corner, and across all the other platforms, we are at the Nation's Corner. Until next week, folks, appreciate you joining. Have a great week.
And fuck Chad.
We almost made it.